Hey! Oh, how are we doing today?
Amazing. How are you?
Oh,
Great.
fantastic. Oh, welcome, everyone. Welcome, Jack, Donald. Oh, it's good to see the whole crew is here. And Markus, thank you for flying all the way home in order to join us live on this stream here today. It's going to be quite good. Uh, yeah, Donald has noticed something here. We are at three faces today, so uh, we're going to be introducing Christina Ferris for you. She's been on the live stream before on Fridays. She's now the new co-host of Wednesday Lunch and Learn. So welcome, Christina.
Thank you for having me, Chris. Very, very, very excited to be joining you on this. And also excited to hear from Markus. I have actually been looking forward to this one. So I'm happy that this is kind of my first one to co-host on.
And now that you're an official MVP, now it's okay for you to officially be a co-host, right?
That's what it took. That's the only reason I wanted the MVP, Chris. I just knew I had to get it so I could be on this show.
All right. Oh, awesome. All right, but Markus, for those of you who, not everyone knows you. I know, like you're like the LeBron James of notebooks. But for those of you who don't know who you are, Markus, do you want to give everyone an introduction?
Yeah. So I'm an architect on the Semantic Link team in Microsoft Fabric. We're part of the data science group that does the tooling within Fabric.
Yeah, and so we met when I went WWE style on like Semantic, like and then you like hang on, and like you've resolved a large majority of my concerns. So I'm very excited to see the great work you and your team has been doing over the last few months, and I can't wait to get into it. But before we do, I want to hear in this tradition here on this live stream is we hear how did you go from the 5-year-old boy who wanted to be a firefighter or a policeman or a superhero? How did you go from that to an architect on the Power BI or Fabric team? How'd that happen?
Yeah. So surprise. When I was 10 or so, I knew what I wanted to do. Wanted to work with computers.
Okay.
So I've been lucky in the sense that there's been a technical high school that I could join 14. So they teach you 5-6 hours programming a week.
Okay.
So first language I learned was COBOL.
Wow.
But
Holy cow.
the first semester, we were not allowed to go in front of the computers. We just got pen and paper, and we were drawing programs on pen and paper. And then in the second semester, they let us do COBOL.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Well,
Was a funny. Yeah.
I mean, that's how it used to be done, right? Like COBOL was like you would write it out on those green screen or those cards.
We had to draw the programs. There's a drawing methodology where you have to draw things, and you learn how loops work and if statements and fun times.
Christina, have you worked with COBOL at all?
No, on purpose. No, just kidding. No, I haven't had the opportunity to need it yet, so I'm sure it's coming. But
you need to see this at once.
Yeah.
The idea of doing it on paper terrifies me. So more power to you.
It really focuses you in on not screwing things up. So.
You need to survive the first year.
Yeah.
Well, afterwards I went to university, studied computer science.
Okay.
Worked at a speech reco startup as part-time during that time, which really sparked my interest in statistics. And so studied another master's in statistics. And sometimes along, I joined Microsoft. Initially as consultant, very customer focused. And then I had a really nice gig at Microsoft Research in New York, working on what's now called Azure Personalizer. It's like reinforcement learning kind of service. Yeah, I don't think Power BI World has seen this yet. And then I ended up with my friends at Fabric. I'm a lot of people that are here with me in the same group. I've been known for years because the data science tooling space folks know each other at Microsoft that are in this space. So
sure.
That's awesome.
Well, that's very cool. All right. Well, if you have used notebooks or Semantic Link at all, and in the chat, let me know. Put it in the chat so we can see if you're actually testing this out. Are you using it? Like, if you start with notebooks and you've gone to the point of trying Semantic Link, I want to understand how big that is, so we can help Markus with some market research here. Right?
Please. We always want to know what our customers want.
Awesome. All right, and we do. Hang on, I got a little thing for that. If, as we're talking, you have any ideas, please head over to ideas.fabric.microsoft.com and submit those ideas. Markus and the entire PM team over at Microsoft is really good at curating through the ideas that come in, because and Markus, you can speak to it, you don't work on anything unless it comes from a client, right?
Yeah, we listen to the ideas. We look at the ideas. We're looking at the votes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's awesome. And I have to tell you, I really am very pro what we're about to talk to, because I don't know if you know, but I'm on a mission in my career to kill DAX columns. So if you want to join the movement, go ahead, hit on the link, buy your own No DAX columns t-shirt. Come in white on navy or black on white. So these are options that are available for people. Oh, all right. But before, okay, let's head over to it. You have a little bit of a slide we're gonna hit in and go into. So
we'll just do boring slides for a minute.
Yeah, just a minute.
And then we go right into notebooks. Yeah. So there you see, Iceberg is my alias. You can find me on Twitter and whatever other social media. My daughter always makes fun of me that I'm on all those platforms, all of them.
All of them.
So, what are we going to see today a bit? What you can do with Fabric notebooks? Well, Power BI automation, data engineering, data science. Fun fact: our team is data science, right? We started off with data science, but we're hearing customer feedback, we're seeing what people want, and it's moving all the way up. It's moving more data engineering, more automation. We're still hopeful that more data science is coming. But right now, what we see is that a lot of automation requests are coming in, and that's where you also see in the future a lot more investment in that area. Yeah. So let me give you the initial pitch from the next page of what we originally intended Semantic Link to be. I think there's still a lot of value in that one. So you have semantic model on the one hand side, where we assume you have your business logic in your DAX expression in your measures, and the poor data scientists need to reinvent those measures because they don't know how to talk to Power BI or don't even know what it exactly is. So we came up with Semantic Link to build a bridge so that the data scientists can consume the measures and the data that sits in semantic model, so that you have the same business logic, no reinventing of the wheel. You can use it to power your data science needs. So you can access tables, measures, you can execute DAX queries, and we're bringing along some of the semantic information. Let's see how far we get today. So we had some innovative stuff around there, which semantic functions didn't get a lot of love from the community so far. Let's see if I can change this this time.
We've spoken. I really dislike this circle because it looks like we're creating recursive logic. Not a fan of that, but I understand for simplicity we use that.
Yeah. You can have multiple semantic models, right? You can stack them. We can go from one to the other. And I mean, to be honest, the story is also getting more complicated now with everybody going into one lake. How does the data flow from here? So we'll see. We'll see how things evolve over time. Yeah. So to answer the question, unfortunately not. So Semantic Link is Fabric exclusive at this point in time.
Can't you run a Jupyter notebook on Fabric?
So We have a notebook there. I'm not exactly sure how much we share with Jupyter Codebase or whatnot. But you can import your IPython. So the definition of the notebook is the same. Like what we run in the background, I'm not sure exactly what we run, but it is Python. We share which version of Python it is. In terms of the notebook interface, which is always a bit more complicated in terms of how it interacts. That one I don't know exactly.
Fair enough, and it's a notebook experience, right? And
it is a notebook experience. You get Python, all of those things. I think the difference is only coming in with like the widgets and stuff like this. And what you see,
and just before we head over to actually seeing this stuff, Adam was wondering if there's been examples of Fabric notebooks being successfully implemented with Semantic Link. Or do you know people doing this right now?
So most of the customer interaction that I've seen, so there's, at least from what I see from telemetry, I think people are doing some export scenarios, maybe. I see a lot of automation scenarios, also that what I see from other teams where they're trying to repeatedly query and ensure quality on their data sets. I think that's the main ones that I see at the moment.
As someone who's started to use it for data validation and quality checks, that's something that we're currently using, and you can actually write it so that you're querying the partitions, and you can identify when you should be refreshing a partition. So that's very helpful when it comes to your data engineering. So you're not having to do full refreshes. And I saw there's a guy in the Q post today about like incremental refresh without dates. I don't know if he's going to do that thing, but if not, maybe I could get a demo for that someday. So,
you're talking about the one with the Delta Lake, where they use the Delta Lake log?
I don't know. I just saw that. I saw the video come up. Day job.
Well, I have the link to the blog post with or LinkedIn post in link from the notebooks. We can have a brief look because I think it's actually a really good example of what people can do with the automation scenarios.
Awesome. All right. Well, let's dive into it. Like I know you have like a number of these, so let's check.
Yeah. I mean, as always, you guys stop me if you want to go and head somewhere else. But for now, let's start with the evaluate measure. So I can tell you a bit more of what's not. The idea is to tell you guys stuff that's not obvious from the documentation. Okay, I think. Okay, so I mean that's how you start off in the notebook. You need to install the library. That's going to change at some point in time, not too far away, hopefully. Then you don't have to install it anymore. And that's how you import the package once it's installed. Actually, let me start it. It will take a bit of time, but we can run it. Okay. The simplest thing that you can do to get a measure is you specify the data set. It's like the customer profitability sample data set, and you compute total revenue overall. And it will give you back a number. Yeah. That's how you start. That's how you get the data. Now, one thing I want to do, let's see if it's big enough. I wanted to explain to you guys a bit is, so on the very left, you have your browser, right? That's the where the Jupyter notebook is rendered. And we see 100 rows or so. And then you have the notebook kernel. That's where all your Python code runs. That's also where Semantic Link runs. Let's say you have 1,000 rows there, 5 million rows, whatever you like, how much you pull. And then you have analysis services where you actually pull in your data and you get your result set. Yeah? Like you don't have to think about that from the get-go, but as your data size grows, you might want to think about it and how you can actually make sure that funnel is getting smaller and smaller so that you don't overwhelm the intermediate things, and also that you get fast responses, right? Because the more data we need to move will take some time. Right? Let me just quick check. Does that make sense with that picture in the middle with notebook and kernel? Like, do you see the difference from I'm not sure if it's so visible from the outside or if Fabric is just this opaque. It's it's like one service and everything is in one box.
So let me try to summarize. So we're using notebooks to extract, transform, and load data into like a gold layer that could then be consumed and used by Power BI or the analysis services inside Power BI, right? So we're talking about? Yes?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yep.
But so on this picture, this like everything you described is on the purple picture, right? Like getting all your data into analysis services,
Right.
and then the question is, how do you get it out from there again, right?
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Now, there's a bunch of things you can do to make sure that your funnel is there. So before, let me just explain a bit of what's going up on front here. So with evaluate measure, you can become a bit more complicated. Still, dataset name or the ID, we take care of the lookups for you. You can have one or more measures. You can add 0 or more dimensions, right? So that you're almost like your usual DAX query. Now, the interesting piece is that you can start to put filters in here. Okay. So for evaluate measures, you can put filters here, and you can also limit the number of rows that come back. And that's exactly what helps you control this funnel here. Right? So if we put the filters here, then between the green and the purple box, we're going to limit the amount of data that's transferred. Okay? This, if you have your data set with 1,000 rows, doesn't matter. If you have a data set with maybe 50 million rows, you can still do it. We tested. You can extract quite a bit of data, but it will take a bit. Yeah, will take some time.
And when you're extracting measures and you're pulling out millions of records, that's when you can actually cause some like performance challenges on that semantic model, right?
Yeah. I mean, so you're going to compute stuff over there, right? And it's going to hit your compute that you have there. We try to make sure that we're like setting read only. And so if you would have scale enabled and you have read only replicas, so we're trying to do our best to optimize the access patterns for you. But at the end of the day, there's some compute engine happening. There's some data movement happening, and yeah.
Well, but if you're hitting a dimensional value, like if you're trying to get the customer table, you're just going direct against the Delta files, right? Then there's no pressure on the semantic model, correct?
We'll go on this next one.
Okay, all right. I'm sorry. I'm jumping ahead.
Different ones on the table.
All right. Good deal.
Yep. I'll come into it. Okay. I know that's the important one. Yeah. Okay. Well,
we just get excited, Markus. Sorry.
No. I fully get it. I mean, that's. I was very excited about it too when we get it. When we got it done. Okay. What I wanted to point out is you can do this cross workspace. Okay? I'm not sure if this was so clear from documentation, but you can pass in either a GUID or a name, and we'll make the lookup, and you can talk to a different workspace in here. If not, we'll use default workspace, which is by default the one that of your attached lakehouse, if you have one, and if not, it's the one of the notebook, because lakehouse and notebook, in theory, can be in different workspaces, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, what I also wanted to show you guys is you actually we pull out metadata along with it. So the data frame that we return to you, so the data frame that I return up here from evaluate measure, it is a pandas data frame, but we enrich that pandas data frame with new things. And one of the new things is this column metadata property, which is not part of pandas. It's something that we added to the Fabric data frame. And this has metadata that we pull out of Power BI. So you'll see there's like a lineage tag, modified time, refresh time, data categories, which become more interesting later on. And so we pull this out, and you can access it from within the notebook.
Oh my! So does the lineage tag go along with this?
Apparently, you get it out for the columns here. Yeah.
Yep.
And measures. The problem with lineage tags, just as a call out, if you make anything via the XMLA endpoint and you don't put in a lineage tag, there won't be one. So if you're making anything dynamically that way or with the APIs, it won't have a lineage tag. So just be aware of that.
Oh, interesting.
But yeah, fun fact.
I'm always learning something new about Power BI. Every day. Every day I'm learning something new about Power BI. Okay, well, if we make it to semantic functions, I will be able to show you a bit more of what you can do with it. Right now, you get back a dictionary. For those of you not so familiar with pandas and Python, so this is a dictionary, and I'm just putting it into a pandas data frame so that it looks nicely. Okay, but you can just like access it, and then I think the keys are the columns or so.
Okay.
And you can inspect it. And if you modify the data frame, we try to propagate it. Like if you filter, merge it, we're trying to propagate and keep that metadata around. There's quite a bit of work that went into this initially. Okay. Now, not sure if you've seen the use XMLA flag. Why is it there? Why do I have a typo here? Okay, so you can. I think the main reason why we have it there is that if you don't have XMLA enabled, so that you can still fetch the measures with the REST APIs, but there's the limits that are publicly documented with the like million values, 100K rows, blah blah blah. Unfortunately, we can't tell you if you hit that limit. Okay, we'll just hit it. It's the unfortunate reality. But by default, we use XMLA, and that pulls out the data for you. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Now, Spark native connector. Actually, Nikolai, I'm not sure if you've seen the post from him. He had a great LinkedIn post on what you can do with Spark native connector and SQL, how to query metrics, also measures using Spark native connector. I think yesterday or so. Great read. Would encourage you to take a look. Now, one thing about this one here is, for the time being, it's fast to start up. So the Spark native connector ships with the VHD, with the infrastructure, so you don't have to install a package. So the only thing that you have to do, and this doesn't take actually any time, is you need to set Spark config. What this also lets you do is you can configure other workspaces with it. So if you want to, so you can have one or more catalogs, and then have it point to a different workspace. But let me first show you what you can do with this catalog. So this catalog, this myPBI, is the prefix down here in the SQL query. And what it does is it exposes all the data sets that are in that workspace under this Spark namespace. You can access all the tables, and you can access the measures through this special virtual metrics table. Okay?
What?
So let me slowly try to digest what this does here, okay? And
sorry.
Yeah. Okay. So we were trying to bring in measures in, for now, the most natural way, so that if you have any SQL tooling sit on top of it, it doesn't get confused as hell. What this does is this special metrics table actually has all the measures and all the dimensions in there. And then depending on which one you select, which dimensions you select, and which measures you select, we'll translate this into the appropriate evaluate measure call. Okay?
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. So if you know SQL, you can write, you don't have to learn the evaluate side. It'll just write it for you?
Yes. And you can join with other data sources now in here. So that's what Nikolai is showing off in his post very, very nicely.
Shut the French door. Wow.
And you get the same predicate pushdown logic that you have up there, that I showed you up there in the graphic. Same one's true here. Okay? So it will only pull according to the filters and stuff like this. You can do this. Also, interesting fact. So this is available from all supported languages in Fabric. So we have Spark SQL, Python. Do we have Scala? I'm not sure if you have Scala. Yeah, we have Scala too, and we have R. You can use this from all the other languages as well. Yeah? So this gives you a step. If you're an R user, you need to use some R libraries. You can use this to access your Power BI measures from R, from Scala, from whatever your favorite language is.
Get out. Holy cow. That's incredible. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Everyone's asking for documentation and trying to get links out to everybody.
Yeah, it is a bit hidden, and I realized, unfortunately, a bit late. It's hidden in the how to access or how to read data article, but it's like halfway down.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it is there. We're learning. We're learning from our customers and the feedback. We're going to create a separate article where we just outline it. But for the time being, I can recommend the link that you guys pasted here, the Augmenting Gold Layer Semantic Link from Nicola. Have a look. Great post. Explains it exactly what we want to do with it.
Yeah, and Pratibha, I'm sorry, I don't know why, but posts and comments don't go to X. So if you're watching on X, hey, welcome. But if you want to be part of the conversation, check out, head over to Twitter, or I'm sorry, to YouTube. That's where conversation or chat goes back and forth. So this is fantastic. I mean, honestly, this in and of itself is worth the price of admission.
Excellent. Happy to.
Yeah. So with this, Markus, what are your current use cases that we're building up to in this notebook here? Like as far as what do you see it being extremely useful for in the data science space?
I mean, this one really plays to the core pitch of the data science team needs to do classic forecasting, and your BI team already implemented the proper number, the proper filtering for your sales numbers, for your usage, whatever it is that you need as input. And you want to make sure that you get the same numbers and you don't have to stand in front of your VP and explain them why your numbers are different than from your PI people, right? From your PI partners. Really, that's where it is. But I'm also happy to see what other creative use cases customers come up with. So let's see.
Well, and that's powerful because there's some calculations like, rolling 12-month average or something like that is super easy in Power BI. That is, it's not as easy to do in any other tooling out there. That Power BI's got unlock, I think.
Yeah, that reminds me about something with workload. So another interesting thing here is you can very easily parallelize stuff suddenly. If you take this query and do union alls, like you build bigger graphs where you do multiple queries against the metrics table, they will start to run in parallel. Because you suddenly get all the Spark compute with this. We can't do partitioning per one, but you can you do multiple unions here or multiple computations, they will all run against your workload. Maybe scary, maybe.
Take my money.
Well, I love Futurama. You remember for what it was that he wanted to take the episode?
No, what was it?
It was the iPhone. It actually implanted a phone into his eye. One of the really good ones.
There are a lot of really good ones. It's kind of sad that it died. Didn't it come back somewhere?
I think it's still ongoing, right?
Is it? Oh, I don't know.
So.
Yeah. All right,
it's on my to watch list, but yes.
It's just
have we
or whatever.
Are you so young that is like before you were born? Is Futurama? No,
I don't think so.
Okay,
it's probably close, but not quite.
So I have a 13-year-old, and for her, she only watches it because I watched it. I think it would not be on her watch list. It would not be.
I'd be surprised. Some of the shows I watched growing up with my dad are my favorites now. So you never know.
Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah, that's
fantastic.
right.
All right, so let's keep going. So that was number 2 of the items you had to show us, right?
Yeah. So now we come to your favorite one, read table, right?
Yes.
Well, let me start with Spark this time around. You can access the tables here directly. Okay? So you no measures, you can just access the tables.
Wow.
Yeah.
And just out of curiosity, Marcus, you might do you know if when we hit things with the XMLA endpoint, if it then locks the semantic model that we're hitting, so you can't download it or anything like that? Because I know some interactions with XMLA end up inhibiting other functionality of Power BI. We might have to test it later.
So in the way that we do it. If you discover this, let me know, okay? I would really doubt that with the connectivity that we're using. Yeah, I'm always surprised on certain XMLA features, but this one I would assume that it doesn't lock it. Okay, so same picture again. I'm trying to hit on the predicate pushed on. So the Spark native connector can actually do a bit more. Like we can do a bit more on filtering, not just in. You can do others. You can also do order by and limit combinations. So this is a bit richer on what you can actually do here. Yeah? And this like all integrates nicely with the Spark optimizer. And you see in this example here, you can use the %% SQL magic and just runs. This is like a Spark native feature. So where is this? Okay. So a heads up, I'm not sure when it will roll out, but later on I'll actually let me scroll down. I need to skip ahead because you asked for this before. So this one was your favorite one, right? So we have semantic model, and then semantic model supports continuous export to OneLake. And for Python, we support that you just peek through the Delta Lake files. Just be sure that we don't confuse this with the direct lake mode of semantic model. That's a different one, right? When semantic model accesses the direct lake files directly, we don't support peek through for that one yet. Not clear when and how it's coming, but if you have enabled a continuous export, we will not hit your Power BI analysis service workload, and we'll just go directly to OneLake. Now, this is coming to Spark as well.
Really?
So it's not there yet, but this one's even more powerful because it will actually let the Spark optimizer directly deal with all the Parquet files. And if it's partitioned, it will like run in fully partitioned mode on distributed mode on the Spark side. Because really what this acts as is more of a translation layer than anything else. It's not an access layer anymore if it's in the OneLake mode.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, because you're basically just going back to Delta files then, right?
We're just redirecting, and the way it's integrated with Spark is we're pointing it toward the Delta files, and then it can do all its magic around discovering what partitions are, distributing the queries, maybe filtering, all the things that you would want that Spark is really great at while working with Delta files. It's coming. I know it's coming. I don't know when. Just waiting for the roll.
Hey, we've got a question in the queue that came in. Is there any way to connect to an on-prem source on notebooks directly, or is that part of the release plan? No.
Yeah. So I think for the time being, you can go through Dataflow Gen 2 is probably your best option, right? So that you go through Power Query, and from my understanding is you can get Power Query into Delta Lake files and output them there. That's probably your best option at the moment, because then you can use like Power BI Gateway and all those things to overcome these issues. I'd be curious if you have more of those use cases, because that's something I'm like personally interested in. How much people would want to see a connectivity between Power Query and Spark. This is not a classic thing, right? Because it's two different worlds. Spark customers are usually very SQL, very code first. And most of my colleagues, when they first see Power Query, they don't know how to filter columns, including myself. How do I do this here? How do I get rid of the columns and rows? I don't have a where clause. I don't have a select clause.
Yeah.
What comma am I missing?
Yes. Yes. First get another bracket. Which one of the 4 brackets that are there?
Well, and Christina, maybe you could talk to that. How often are you seeing clients that are still having significant on-prem data sources that you're dealing with?
I'd say it's still about like a 60-40 to cloud resources. But that's just in my experience, right? So typically right now I'm working with a lot of mid to large size companies. I think a lot of smaller companies that are maybe a little more risk averse are sticking with their on-prem sources. And a big reason for that I've seen is just there's a little bit of fear around moving to the cloud and how much it's actually going to cost them. But obviously that's why we're there to talk them through it, help them figure it out. But with that said, I think that there are still a lot of on-prem. There's still a lot of on-prem.
Yeah, actually, I can back that, Marcus. As I start to work with, like, I used to work just with big companies. Now I'm starting to work with companies of all sizes, and I'm seeing a lot of companies that still have a huge footprint on-prem, and so a lot of these tools are great. But like that story of how we go from on-prem out into the cloud is one that they're, the story could be better.
Yep. Let's see. I'm struggling a bit with how much can we expect our users to be moving between, like what's the overlap between folks that want to do stuff in the notebook and folks that kind of get Power Query, right?
So, well, actually, we're going to take this off. I posted this on Twitter this morning in response to Alex, but I said, now that Fabric is a thing, people should just be learning SQL and Python, and that Power Query, you could start to take that off the table. Just focusing on the Python side. So I think everyone should be coming over to the Python and notebook area, just because of how universal those tools are, and do minimal on the Power Query side.
I mean, you still get all the connectors, right? You have like what?
Yeah.
Like we have 300 connectors, credential management. Yeah.
Well, that's
nice. I think
nice.
you'll get a lot of Power Query users who are now dipping their toes into Python. I'm not sure you're going to get a whole lot of people using both all the time, but
we're going to have to kill Donald.
I like Donald, Chris. We can't get rid of him. No.
I love you too, Donald. You're fantastic. All right.
So there are some diehards out there
Yes.
of Power Query that you're gonna have to fight next, Chris. We're gonna need.
I'm fighting one battle in my lifetime. It's the DEX columns. I'm not fighting the Power Query thing. That can stay.
I like Power Query a lot better. But to your point, Marcus, I think that you're gonna end up with people who might be doing a little bit of both, but the crossover is going to be small if you're working in one company that has a strategy in place, right? You're not going to typically be doing both.
Yeah. I mean, maybe it's just a path, right? On how do you get your data? How do you get your data in without? I mean, right now, again, to answer the question, I think maybe with Dataflow Gen 2, you can have a path. Maybe that cuts it for you. Yeah. Excellent.
They're making improvements to Power Query still. It's not going away. Yeah. So
it isn't. It is not. It is not. Well, let me continue with the notebook. So what I want to show you here is that if you have a lakehouse with your Delta Parquet files, just as a very simple example, you can join the data, as Nicola points out, right? So this is Power BI. This is the customer table right now for XMLA, and I want to combine it with a context table, which is in my Delta files. if I want to enrich it, like classic data science scenario, you want to pull and merge all the data that you need to get together, you can do this in a single SQL query, Spark SQL query. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Now back to Semantic Link, SemPy. You can access the tables there too. You get your pandas data fabric data frames, just as we got before with the measures, data set name, table name. You get your output. Our beloved how to get data from OneLake. So there's this small little flag here at the end, and if you use that one, we'll pull the data from OneLake for you if your table, if your semantic model is enabled. So it needs to be configured as a large data set and continuous export. So OneLake integration needs to be set, and you need to refresh it at least once, or do an XMLA, what is it? A TIMSL call to trigger the refresh. So those three things. Yeah. But then again, you get your same data frame. And as before with the measure,
that auto export, that live sync and stuff like that, that is one of the topics where I have run through that 4 times in filming, and like something always like caused the problem where I've had to stop it, and like not the tech, but like I had to look. I haven't done a video on it yet. I've created 4 videos on it, but we haven't not published. So I'll have to get that out for people.
Let me know if you run into any issues. We'll try to figure.
All right, good deal.
Yeah. So REST mode, the last one. Again, if you don't have XMLA, you don't have OneLake, we still want you to be able to access your data. There's always scenarios out there, I would say.
What is REST mode? What does that do?
So this is the Power BI REST APIs that you have out there, the old ones.
All right.
So we encountered customers that don't have XMLA endpoint enabled, but we still want to have them be able to use Semantic Link and access their data.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. No XMLA, but they'll allow API. Huh.
I think REST is always enabled, if I understood correctly. Okay, I'm not sure if you can.
Yeah, that's not optional. Yeah.
REST cannot be disabled, right, Christina? That's my understanding.
That was my understanding as well. You can lock down who can do it, but I don't think it's not nearly as locked down as XMLA. XMLA, you can basically turn it off for your entire tenant.
Yeah.
We'll have to look into that.
Chris is like, no.
Like
All right. Hey, can you use this, like Eagle Terry's asking, can you use this notebook in experimentation? Is that one of the things that we're going to be doing here?
What do you mean by experimentation?
I'm going to guess he would like a data science model that leverages it. I mean, this is just a data frame, so you can use this in anything, right?
You can use this for whatever you want, right? These are pandas data frames, so you can use this for plotting. If you mean by experimentation, like exploratory data analysis or experimenting with for data science project, like trying to build out a new model, trying to discover data patterns, or so, sure. This df variable is a pandas data frame. All the samples, all what Copilot or GPT will tell you can do with a pandas data frame, you'll be able to do it here. That's what you can do. Yeah.
Okay. I think so.
Okay. So, let me just tell you again, remind you, there's column metadata that we ship with you, also for the table, not just for the measures. I'd be very interested if you find use cases, right? So for example, we have the relationships in here. Who knows what people are coming up with? Excellent. So we're quite into it. I'm now wondering, out of the list, what would you guys care the most for?
Dataset refresh.
Yes, that's exactly what caught my eye.
Okay. I have a very boring notebook on this one, right? What you can do is you can just call the refresh on the dataset. We'll use enhanced refresh API. I believe we have covered all the options that you find on the website. On the REST documentation are exposed through are exposed here. Let me just show you a little trick. I'm not sure if you've seen this one. But you can always call help on a function, and it will give you the documentation in the notebook.
Oh,
What?
This is a Python feature or Jupyter feature. I don't know. I think it's a Python feature, and it will work with all the libraries out there. Very helpful. Half an hour later, the notebook might have started.
And for those of you who haven't really seen notebooks before, these little gray blocks are what's actually getting run. Anything in the white is going to be notes, comments, things like the diagrams that Markus showed earlier. So those pieces don't get run.
Yeah. There you go. So you have all the documentation, all the options here.
Wow.
We set the defaults accordingly. Very helpful.
Oh, that's interesting. So, okay. So is it everything like you can push data in too?
You mean this
you
one
don't
here?
know much about XML. You know about notebooks. Sorry, keep going. This is good.
It's basically using the asynchronous refresh.
Yeah, it's using. So we're talking about this. This is using asynchronous. Yes, it's the enhanced Power BI, refresh functionality, is what's happening there. Yeah, you can then do the polling here to see when it's done. So we get you the execution status. You need to call this a couple of times, and then you know when it's done. What I actually want to show you, sure, and you can also like list the refresh history if you want to get access to it.
And you can do that across workspace too.
Yeah, this works across all our functions. Always have a workspace parameter with like either GUID or workspace name, assuming you have the permissions, right?
Right.
So we're not overcoming. What I wanted to show you guys is, I'm not sure if you've come across the post from. This is actually the notebook. That's not what I want to do. Okay. Let me just.
So hang on. So could I combine the detailed information of when a table is last refreshed, compare that back to a source system and when that was last refreshed or modified, and then when the source system is greater than the table, I could call the refresh, right?
Yep.
So I could do that. Can I do that with data? I could do that with data activator too, then, right?
Can you trigger the refresh? Well, you could trigger the notebook, right?
Right.
Oh.
Yeah. You could. I mean, you can do whatever you want up here in the notebook. So you could also like, where is this here in the settings, right? You can just schedule the notebook here on frequency.
Nice.
If you would want to like run this every day.
Well, wait, what was that? Go back to that. How'd you get this?
There's in the settings.
Okay. Oh, okay. Oh my gosh.
Chris and I have a lot to learn about Fabric notebooks. This is awesome.
Yeah.
So that should make it very simple to run your refreshes based on, I don't know, check every hour, check every, I don't know, whatever, and then check the conditions that you would want to have, right?
Right. Then that's a very lightweight thing for me to do many times and not the heavyweight load. Oh, that's wonderful.
And we could store the results from the refresh history execution somewhere and have an ongoing history that's longer than the 28-day or previous 10 refresh max.
It's like we could
that the
start
APIs
it
let you
Fabric or something. Yeah. Look at that big brain coming in here.
Very clever. Chris, I have to say you're very smart to bring Christina along the way. Very smart, very smart. Very good move. Okay, what I wanted to show you guys is, so Phil Seamark has this really great, I'll post a link in here too. Can I? Actually, you guys post it.
And he's an awesome guy. Yeah.
Phil is great. So Phil has this awesome post where he's combining. Is this the right one? Oh no, wait, this is the wrong one. Sorry, this is the wrong one. This is the wrong one. I didn't know what.
But this is a good one too. So.
This is a good one too. This is a good one too. But I actually want to show you this one here. Sorry. It was almost the same. So we have analysis service tracing capabilities in Semantic Link, and you can combine the traces with refresh.
Whoa!
So what you can do is you can define the events that you care for from analysis services. Then you can kick off a trace with Semantic Link, start a trace, trigger refresh, wait for it to be done, and then ideally, so you create a trace connection here. Is this too small? Let me just.
No, I'm got old and blind.
So trace connection, start the trace, refresh your data set, wait for it to be done, have the trace stop, and then Phil figured out that you can have like JavaScript and all kinds of things in Fabric notebooks. And there's a bunch of crap here now, but watch it. You can edit this and like blah, blah. You can do these things here.
Wow.
Wow.
So you're making your own visuals inside of the notebook.
Yeah.
So basically the report just kind of lives in there.
Yeah. And in theory, could be interactive. Who knows, right? Whatever you want to do in JavaScript, you can do in there, more or less, I guess. Yeah. So I thought this is a really neat way of combining the tracing capability that we have with the refreshes to do more analysis, trying to understand what's happening.
Now all we have to do is write it back into a data table, and now we've completed the loop here, right?
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. We also have tracing capability for DAX queries, but there is an improved one coming. So if you want to do tracing for DAX as well, like perf analysis or so, we'll have some things upcoming. Let's put it that way. You can do something with the current trace functionality, but we have something better up our sleeves.
Why don't you just go ahead and show it to us?
I can't. I can't. It's not about.
Chris,
I don't have to build with me. I'm sorry. Otherwise, I would show it to you. Experience will be similar, but yeah, I need to have some teasers. Come on.
Yeah, like this is an NDA live stream on YouTube, X, and LinkedIn. So
I just signed my NDA, Chris. I can't.
Yeah, everybody that's watching the YouTube stream now needs to sign an NDA just before you watch it.
Yeah,
we'll send a link later.
Oh my! It automatically pauses. You have to sign it, and then it autoplays. Well, I'll talk to Google. I'll get to when I Google on. So.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
But no, this is awesome.
Yeah.
This is great, Marcus.
So far, so good on refresh.
I mean, this is what.
Because you could get the refresh schedule using these APIs too, so you could see if it isn't matching with your current data source refresh as well. So similar to what you were talking about, Chris, you could diagnose where maybe you need to tighten up your refresh scheduling. Maybe it's refreshing multiple times, but the data source isn't. That kind of thing.
Oh, look at that. Look at you, big brain, going out and saying, hey, you're wasting my compute on things that don't need to.
I'm all about protecting it, you know? I love my compute.
Yeah.
Take good care of it.
That is so important. Smart. You're right, Marcus. Bringing her along was a good idea.
Very, very good idea. Very good idea.
All right.
I don't have enough shades of red to turn with these compliments, but thank you.
Do we have time for one more short one, Marcus?
I can pick one.
I'm thinking dependencies.
Yes, let's do that one.
The Power BI dependency tutorial.
Okay. Yeah. Now, are these available on like a GitHub repo someplace?
So you pick the one that's available on the GitHub repository. Actually, let me go back. You pick a different one.
Okay.
Because all the other ones are not.
Oh, okay. Let's do Great Expectations.
Okay. Excellent choice. Excellent. Okay. So, yeah. Great Expectations.io, a great company doing data validation library. Yeah. What we've done is we worked on integration with Great Expectations. So they are now having as semantic, fabric data source. So let me get right into the code. Well, you need to install libraries. You need to install Great Expectations. Like nothing surprising. What you can do is so this is like your boilerplate code to get a Great Expectation data context. What we added together is you now have a Fabric Power BI data source that you can add, which is using Semantic Link under the hoods, which also means because they added it in here, you could have your more declarative version of it with the YAML files. For those of you more experienced with Great Expectations, they have a Python API surface where you can work directly against their APIs, but they also have a declarative YAML experience where you can have the same declarations, and you can now declare Power BI Fabric data sources. And along this, we expose Power BI tables, measures, custom DAX queries. I mean, technically, you get the DMVs for free anyway with the DAX queries. Let me just say it. If you do evaluate DAX, we didn't go through this, you can access your DMVs with it, right? So that's where we're also seeing a lot of usage of folks that want to do more automation scenarios. More power to DMVs, apparently.
Want to automate their deployments, right? They want to integrate DBT into into their CI/CD world, and DBT works at the lower levels. Why not the semantic layer? So,
right. And so this is now essentially just the Great Expectations API. So you can have a table asset, you can have measure assets, and you can have DAX assets. And once you defined all those kinds of assets in Great Expectation lingo, you're ready to define expectations, I believe it is. Let me just see. Yes. And so once you have your assets, you define an expectation. Let's say I want to validate that my zip code is always 5 digits, or a certain row count has certain conditions. You can now combine the asset with the expectation. Where is this done? Must be a bit down there. Soup measure. Yeah. So this is with the name. Yeah. Every time we do the add expectation, we add another expectation to the suit, and this then runs over the assets that we configured up there.
Wow.
And at the end, the validation. Yes. So this is where the validation comes together. So you have your expectation suit where I think the idea is just I'm not super expert on the Great Expectations, but my understanding is you define a set of expectations that could be reusable across assets, and then you define which expectations you want to run on which assets. And now you can do this with Power BI, tables, measures, stacks, using Great Expectations. Yeah.
That is fantastic. And great. Where does Great Expectations store that information? Is it stored in a Delta file, or where does that go?
What the results of this?
Mm-hmm.
So you just get it out as a Python object, and then it's up to you to party on it and store it back into Delta. So you have full flexibility of what you want to do. There isn't an integration
defined
or anything.
Or mandatory.
So I think in this example, we're just partying on the results, do some data munging and whatnot to get back the list. Yeah, and then I think we actually came up with a nice stuff. There we go. So this is the main thing I wanted to show. Yeah.
Well,
Oh, nice.
I mean, Markus, that is absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much for going through this. We're near the end of our time. Any parting words for people on what you'd like for them to try or do first?
More feedback. Give us ideas. We want
feedback.
to learn from you guys. What are you missing? What do you love? How can we help you get even more data science, data engineering, automation jobs done on Fabric? And notebooks are lightweight, right?
Mhm.
Create a notebook, schedule it, run with it. No external infrastructure needed.
No, that's fantastic. And Christina, I'll give you parting last words then.
I was just going to say thank you, Markus. I think that last example that you showed is something that I hear from clients a lot, which is how do I validate my data models? And that is going to be huge. Just giving them the ability to run a notebook and check their primary data models for data quality issues. So thank you.
Yeah, I love it. And thank you to everyone who joined the live stream today. We really appreciate you joining us. Excited to do this every single week. Join us on Friday. Kevin is back from his vacation to the
Yay.
I forget where.
Southern
I forget
Hemisphere?
where he went. Yeah, he went. No, he went like to Africa or like Timbuktu.
Wow.
Or like strange beasts were seen, from what I understand. So we're excited to have him back from all of that, and so join us on Friday. We're going to be going over what is it? 8 goals for 2024 that Kevin has set, or that we've worked on. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you guys later. Baker Tilly Digital combines strategic industry insight and advanced technical expertise to uncover and solve your digital transformation challenges. If you're interested in learning more, check out our website at bakertilly.com/digital.